salty, damp sea winds sweep the flagstone alleys of this coastal city. This is Chaozhou in Guangdong Province, a city whose reach extends over the far horizons. In the 19th and 20th centuries, many thousands of its citizens took to the seas in search of new lives in Southeast Asia and beyond. The communities they established flourished, and for many, generated great prosperity. This all happened long before Li Kai-han, curator of the Linghai Archives, was born. On display here are precious historical documents he has managed to collect in the past few years. A large part of the collection is letters, all differing in shapes and sizes, from many different time periods. But what they have in common is that in the local Hokkien dialect, they are called Chao Pi, overseas remittance letters. These family letters first appeared in the late Qing dynasty. Now they have become important source materials for the studying of history of overseas Chinese communities and their links to their homeland. Nearly half of Li Kai-han's collection come from one Chinese merchant. With the tomb-sweeping day approaching, more and more people are on their way back to their hometowns to visit family graves. For the people of Chaoshan area in the east of Guangdong, family is deeply rooted in their hearts. Today's advanced transportation systems enable people to return home at will. But 100 years ago, it was very different. Those who went overseas were cut off from their hometown by the sea for decades, or even their whole lives. All their feelings for and obligation to their families could only be expressed with some brief words and a remittance, often only a tiny amount of money. This battered book is a family tree, telling the story of a Wang family for 14 generations through the Ming and Qing dynasties. It allows its keeper, Wang Shouren, to get to understand his ancestors. They were once officials in Shaoxing, Zhejiang province. When Emperor Yongle established the Tianjin Guards in the early 15th century, Wang Shouren's ancestors moved to Tianjin in accordance with the imperial edict. Since then, his family have settled here in Tianjin for more than 600 years. Wang Shouren is in his 70s. He is concerned for some family heirlooms which have been out of his hands for about 2 years.
咱家那些祖先画像修复也不怎么样。
我前2天给谢老师打电话了，他说差不多6月中下旬吧。
哦。
也2年了，也快差不多了。
将近2年了啊。
对，
书上那个画像。
我们家呢有13幅画像，这13幅画像呢历经600年，经历了很多沧桑岁月吧。所以我父亲呢就把这13幅画像呢转移到了一个房子里面，是一个阳光房。我们觉得那儿比较安全，然后呢就光考虑到安全了。它经过了20年的阳光的这个暴晒，所以当我们打开一看呢，完全都脆了，整个边角都往下掉，一个棱一个棱的往下，破损是相当严重的。然后我们最后也是联系到了国家图书馆的古籍征线部。然后我们把文物拿过去，他们也鉴定了一下，看了一下，觉得他们具备这个修复能力。然后我们两边呢，就是坐下来商量，最后就是决定把这个文物就是无偿的捐给这个国家图书馆的古籍征线部。
以前
显生，以为。
At the National Library of China, restorer Li Yidong is working on the restoration of portraits of the Wang family's ancestors.
这个画主要就是颜色脱落的情况比较严重，特别是蓝色和绿色掉的都比较厉害。它那个椅子的右边绿颜料都掉了嘛，它这个应该是石绿，因为它是矿石颜料，所以它那个可能和这个绢的之间就是更容易脱落吧。现在就是要调出这个对应的颜色，然后再拿一块相同底色的绢，然后试试这颜色如果差不多的话，就一遍一遍的往上圈，我们叫圈色。
As a graduate of Beijing's Central Academy of Fine Arts, Li Yidong has a well-trained eye for dealing with color changes.
就是这个颜色要和周围的颜色要融进去，也不能太跳，然后又得协调，因为原先那个颜色脱落了嘛，那一块就很明显，那你又不能把这块颜色画得太显眼，你得尽量的遵照那个原先这幅画原先的样子，尽量按照以前的样子去给它还回去。
The detailing on the original portrait was meticulously painted, demonstrating the outstanding skills of the artist who made it well over a century ago. It is this delicacy that presents the challenge for its restorer. Li Yidong has to complement the lost colors while preserving the original look. With the beating of gongs and drums, people are here trying to revive the Longnan shadow play, which died out many years ago. This troupe has its origins in the Qing dynasty. Now these veteran artists are trying to recreate an ancient drama that none have ever seen.
在西北，特别是甘肃，蕴藏有大量的珍贵的很多的戏曲抄本文献，这里头也有我们的今天的陇南影子腔的部分几种抄本。我和这个省图书馆做这次的这个戏曲文献的这次整理出版过程中，我们就发现这个抄本有一些残损。2006年左右的时候，这批抄本是移交给省图书馆，请我们省图书馆最好的古籍修复专家石有宽老师进行了一个全方位的一个修复。
As a research fellow at the Gansu Institute of Culture and Art, Zhou Qi took part in the process of restoring these ancient scripts. What he hopes now is that these long-lost Longnan shadow play scripts can be revived and performed once again. Meanwhile, Zhou Qi has another batch of scripts in a desperate need of restoration to take to the Gansu Provincial Library.
石老师，您好啊！我是省研所的周琦啊。今天来找您，这个还有个戏曲剧本修复的事儿，要向您来讨论。欢迎。这是我们最近做这个地方戏曲调查过程中新发现的一些抄本，但是在收集的过程中就发现这些本子残损的程度特别大，所以就特意带这批剧本比较有几个代表性的，带到您这儿，请您看一看。 给我们那个想想办法。
Shi Yuoquan is nearly 80 years old. He was among the first batch of ancient book restorers after the founding of the PRC. Since then, he has dedicated himself to the field for 60 years and established a notable reputation.
古月的纸张已经虚化特别严重了，你看这个文字呢，写到天头地脚。 都是顶天立地的，所以这一部分书啊，可能在修复就难度是比较大的啊。我们可能就要采取有金镶玉的那个修复方法。
White interleaving paper is inserted behind each page of the book to be restored. The surrounding overlap is then folded back so as to make sure that the whole page is uniform in thickness. Since most pages of ancient books are yellow and the interleaving paper is usually white, It is called Jinxiangyu, which literally means gold inlaid on jade.
为什么要采取金镶玉呢？因为这一批书全部都没有留天头地脚，也就是说文字顶天立地。我们如果说装出来以后啊，继续还是这样的话，直接接触文字，所以对文字也有损失。这是古籍修复者，在修复的过程当中，根据古籍的破损情况来决定对古籍加固的一种修复办法。
The method can give the greatest possible protection to already fragile books, but it is complex and can be very time-consuming. Shi Yuoquan, dedicated to this work for almost 60 years, has restored just over 200 ancient books. He always stresses the great patience required, but frequently laments the passage of time. After his retirement, his skills saw him re-employed, but he is now retired again. His health no longer allows him to sit for the long hours required, and his eyesight is not as keen as once it was. But his passion for the project has in no way diminished, and he offers help where he can.
搞了一辈子，事业总是在想着，你说受养不养？受养。为啥呢？因为搞了一辈子，总觉得还想着能够修复一业，还想着能够修复一业。
With Shi Yuoquan now taking a back seat, his apprentices have embraced the challenge that was his life's mission. His apprentices now form the backbone of the Ancient Book Preservation Center in Gansu. These include his daughter, Shi Qing.
Cô già,来啦吧。
Rồi đi. Lại. Ở đây sang剪材料。
好，来。
剪材料我们在把两个人都揪过来给里头。
好，坐下。
啊，好剪。
好，来。
先说头个这个。
好。有壁啊啦，我直接我看过。
这个好啊，这个有这种比较嘅。
哦，呢個只嘅係第個喎，呢個。
嗰就頂係。
哦，頂係等啲咁樣。
呢個就簡單街，即係大好。
是啊。出字就寫到那可以。
啊，你行個明德也嘅，嗰陣。
大片哈。
呢出就正明確嘅。啊。你都要清。
整得干啲。你只價錢係咪先？
這小街就街就350。
哦。
都冇試過嘅。
又唔便宜。
你話佢整啲弄雜菜嘛，會貴啲。
哦，依種都同佢發興喺度噃，就買好似係冇人咯。
是。
這少少牛啊。
這就冇價錢冇貴倍啲啊。
你真係找那身邊有病症嘅，有會啊吧？
你個我借唔到是，你冇試過。你個啦一件以來就做就咁單就做。
就冇只有攰啦。
因為做這個現在冇攰。
是。
Li Kai Han is aware that both the quantity and quality of this batch of remittance letters are rarely seen, but he still hesitates because of the high price. Almost all the elderly living here can tell some stories about overseas remittances in relation to their own families. Chen Mi-in's husband was a nephew of Li Shi-wen, a famous overseas Chinese from the locality.
여기日本嘅拉我落直個話，佢嚟見我落先佢。
These carefully preserved remittances are evidence of the strong feelings the wanderer had for his family and the nostalgia for his hometown. In the 1940s, Li Shiwen donated 5 silver dollars through a remittance for the very first school to be built in his hometown. In 1999, aged almost 100, he again donated 200,000 yuan for a new primary school. It was in this school built with the funds from Li Shiwen and others, Li Kai-han began his education. Li Kai-han finally decides to purchase all these remittances, which, despite the price, he considers worth it. He is sorting them into different categories, each being given its own catalog number.
像这些就是修补的了，回头我们就是会在那个登记里面就会写到说，这一个编号这一封需要修补。
After being cataloged, these precious remittances will soon be displayed in Li Kai-han's archives. While Li Kai-han sorts out the remittances, the senior members of his family are preparing for the tomb sweeping day. The local delicacies carry special memories of people in Chaoshan area for their hometown. Meanwhile, the book restoration department in Gansu Provincial Library seems to be insulated from all the buzz and fuzz. The specialists working here are aware that as the very first center of its type in northwest China, that much is expected of them.
比人北京跟上海是比方，因为人家从60年代一直到现在，人家一直是连续不断的，这搞的都是比较好的。 我们这个是搞的也是断断停停，经费很困难的情况下，就困难很大。那么你要修补复原，要配置，是从哪里来？我们最后想尽了一切办法来解决。我们跟这个废品收购站建立了关系，后来是我们给他们打招呼，如果有人送来像现状书，你们给我们保存下。 然后我们就拿废报纸把它换回来。
Despite that Shi Yuoquan can no longer restore any books with his own hands, he still spares no effort for the cause. An appeal for the entire industry is the great mission to which he is forever dedicated.
古迹修复应该精准扶贫，像一些边远山区，现在还古迹没有。 开展起修复还没有开展起来，能不能帮助他把它去开展起来？雪中送炭是最受人感激的，是吧？
Shi Yuoquan spends his spare time doing calligraphy, for which he has his own plan.
我准备就是搞成各种装订形式。 做成那个各种形式的样板，将来就是来赠送给古迹修复中心。
Like many of his generation in the Northwest, Shi Yuoquan is a keen fan of the Jinqiang opera. It's renowned for its vigorous and unrestrained spirit. Perhaps in the near future, he will be able to see something rescued by his own handiwork. As evening closes in, the curtain goes up to reveal the blaze of lights. A Lone Nan shadow play is being performed.
我有一个保护这个文献的一个思路，就是藏宝于民。你比如我们今天看到的这些抄本，这几位老人的这种传承，所以才使我们大量的文献古籍呢重见天日。 它保护的手法也许不会太科学，我们会把保护的手法会教给他们。所以有破损了，我们拿到相应的机构去修复，然后告诉他你这些东西如何去保护它。发挥民间的力量，能够起到非常非常大的一个好的作用。这我相信也是一些，特别是地方民间文献的一个保护一个新思路。
原来这里边这一片全都是住家，我就住这里边，这个黄城根遗址公园了嘛，现在。哦，遗址。
After hearing from the National Library of China in Beijing, Wang Shu-ren's family traveled there from Tianjin. It's an appointment that has been 2 years in the making. Thanks to the efforts of the restoration team at the National Library, the 13 portraits of Wang's ancestors have taken on a rather different look. This is the first time they have been seen so clearly.
祖先像这一块，因为这也是咱们这个传统文化中的一个重要内容。咱们这个呢，一个是这个比较系统，就整个从这个最早的史前祖一直过来，一直到现在，这是比较全的。后续做研究的话，比如做文献研究的话，它的信息就比较准确。
The Wang family's ancestral portraits will join the permanent collection of the National Library of China. This will at least guarantee their preservation. They were once a family treasure, but now they have become something that bears witness to great historical change. As far as Wang's family are concerned, this is not so much a farewell as a new beginning. At the Chaozhou archives, Li Kai-han and some people are doing the final round of checking and cataloging. This batch of remittances will be donated here to the archives. Until now, Li Kai-han has donated about 5,000 items. He only sees himself as a collector, whose task is to pass them on to archives and libraries, so as to make them available to the widest possible audience. The remittance letters in Li Kai-han's exhibition hall are a shrine to the love and loyalties of past generations of migrants who forsook their hometowns in search of a better life, but could never abandon what they had left behind. On the tomb sweeping day, Li Kai-han too wants to get back home as soon as possible. A large family gathering is due to take place. The overseas remittances, portraits, and antique manuscripts are all items that express the feelings of the general public, of family duties, and about the people and places of the past. They might not be as well known as national-level cultural relics, but this does not mean that they are any less meaningful. They are like the pieces of a public memory, which together create a grand picture of a nation and its culture.